Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Must Have Middle Grade. I'm Julia Smith, Senior Editor, Books for Youth. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. To resize the slides, look to the magnifying glass icon located to the left of the slides. There you can increase or decrease the size and select how you'd like the slides to appear. If you lose audio or would like to change the way you're connected to it, look at the bottom of your screen for a circle with 3 dots. Clicking that icon will open a menu with an audio connection option. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the right side of your screen is a control panel with an area at the bottom for Q&A. Simply type your question into the field and click Send. Attendees can see questions asked during the webinar and the answers provided. Links to today's slides and title list were sent directly to you from WebEx at the start of this webinar, but you can also download them at any time by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive a follow-up email containing links to today's slides and the title list, certificate of completion, and the video recording. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Sarah Woodruff, Senior Marketing Manager at Simon & Schuster Children's Publishing, Melissa Croce, Associate Marketing Manager at Macmillan Children's Publishing Group, Emily Duvall, Library Marketing Manager at Random House Children's Books, Maddie Hughes, School and Library Marketing Coordinator at Disney Publishing Worldwide, and Megan Harley, Marketing Manager at Algonquin Young Readers. First, we'll hear from Sarah Woodruff. Sarah is a Senior Marketing Manager in the Education and Library Department at Simon & Schuster. She long ago embraced the art of reading multiple books in a variety of genres all at once and is always eager to talk about them. Her favorite books are The Hours by Michael Cunningham and On Writing by Stephen King. Welcome, Sarah. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So you can see my email here. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email after this webinar. I'm going to talk to you about a ton of our upcoming and current middle grade titles, and they're going to be grouped by theme to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you guys to follow along. So the first slide, these books are all out already. They came out in the spring. So the first one is Blue Skies. It stars 10-year-old Glory B, who's preparing for a miracle, her father's return home. The war ended 3 years ago. This is World War II. But Glory B's father never returned home from the front in France. Glory B understands that her dad died a hero there, yet deep down she believes her dad is still out there. When her local paper reports that one of the boxcars from the Merci train, this was a real-life thank you train that came with gifts of gratitude sent from the people of France to the U.S., will be stopping in her town of Gladiola. She just knows her dad will be its surprise cargo. Grief is always a difficult topic, of course, and Blue Skies navigates this subject with humor and grace. Glory B is a stubborn and determined character that she can't help but root for, and the ending is so perfect and bittersweet. Next, we have City Spies. This is from Edgar Award winner James Ponti. It's his new series. It brings together 5 kids from all over the world and transforms them into real-life spies, perfect for fans of Stu Gibbs' Spy School series. Each book will be told from a different character's point of view, and James has great resources for teachers and librarians on his website. As an avid thriller and mystery reader, I can personally attest to how much I enjoyed the pacing, the twists, and the relationships in this book. Into the Tall, Tall Grass. I love that this novel has gotten some nice buzz as it has so many unique elements. There's the generational story and the relationship between grandmother and granddaughter. There are the layers of magical gifts passed down from family member to family member. There's the exploration of a different kind of magic and the power of healing. Yolanda's grandmother falls into an unexplained sleep, waking suddenly at the same time a strange grass emerges from behind their house. Across the grass is a lone pecan tree where her grandmother demands to go, and so the journey begins. This next slide is some of the staff picks from our book pantry, which is a printed brochure and a website that we hand out seasonally. So Sarah and the Search for Normal, I also wanted to mention that this book, the on sale is actually June 2nd. I know it says May on the slide, but it's June 2nd. This book hit me hard. It's not just about dealing with mental illness, which it portrays so powerfully, but also for anyone needing to learn to accept themselves or believe in themselves. If I'd had this book in middle school, I feel confident in saying it would have changed my life, and I'm so glad to be able to talk about it now to give it the chance to do so. Readers first saw Sarah in Edgar Award-winning O.C. Daniel. The author got so many questions about Sarah's story and how she got to be such a strong person and supportive friend to Daniel that he wanted to give us her voice as well in this prequel. Sarah has over 100 rules to being normal. She's sure everything will get better if she can just be normal. She doesn't talk to anyone who isn't her parents, her teacher, or her therapist. But when she's asked to go to group therapy, she meets another girl named Erin who slowly draws her out and helps her to learn that it's her uniqueness that makes life worth living. Next, we have Josie Bloom in The Emergency of Life. This is another such a special book that just feels like classic middle grade. I'm so excited for everyone to meet Josie Bloom, her friend Winky, and her grandfather, who would rather feed squirrels than pay bills, leaving Josie to sort out the expenses and anything else her grandfather is forgetting, while also encountering someone who just might be her father. Winky and Josie seem so old and so young at the same time, the way they observe the world around them and try to compute and interact with new experiences, making them feel authentic and relatable. Both deal with their own set of circumstances, but they're still inquisitive and adventurous kids who don't even think to let problems define them. I love the community feel and the support from their teacher and the school librarian who encouraged Josie and Winky to keep trying and engaging and learning. American as Paneer Pie. This one is out June 9th now. One thing that got me excited about this book is that it has a great school newspaper element where students are encouraged to write op-eds about topics they care about, which leads our main character, Leica, to gather her courage and address hate she feels from the community toward Indian Americans as a result of a local election and some stereotyping bullying experiences at school. There's also a great tie-in in the title that I won't spoil here and has a recipe for paneer pie in the back of the book. As the only Indian American kid in her small town, Leica feels that she has two versions of herself. Home Leica, who loves watching Bollywood movies and eating Indian food, and school Leica, who pins her hair over her bindi birthmark and avoids confrontation at all costs. When a girl her age moves in across the street, Leica's excited to hear that her name is Avantika and she's from India. But to Leica's surprise, Avantika does not feel the same way as Leica does about having two separate lives. And when a racist incident rocks Leica's community, Leica realizes she must make a choice, continue to remain silent, or find her voice before it's too late. And now we have some conversation starters. So you'll see some keywords on here that you can take back to as key talking points. Santiago's road home follows a young boy named Santiago who is detained by ICE while crossing the border from Mexico. Before he's caught, he joins up with a young woman and her daughter, and they form a makeshift family. You see the day-to-day life of children in the detention centers, the way they're split by gender and age, brothers from sisters, older siblings from younger. You see the friendships that form, the ways they try to stay hopeful, and hours that continue to wear on them. You see the schoolroom and the teacher, the only beacon of light in Santiago's day, as he works hard to learn to read and write in both English and Spanish. In the back of the book, there's an author's note, a list of resources, and a list of books for further reading, including picture books through adult. Alexandra's the daughter of Cuban refugees and lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then we have How to Build a Story, or The Big What If, which is now on sale July 28th. From bestselling author Frances O'Rourke comes a fresh and accessible guide to storytelling that breaks down the sometimes daunting writing process into straightforward, doable steps just right for budding writers, or even those who don't think they can write. She has over a decade of experience teaching writing workshops for kids, which is obvious in the way she structures this book and gently guides readers to create a story, chapter by chapter, idea by unexpected idea. And then we have two graphic novels. One is great STEM content. It's a middle grade graphic novel series that follows junior explorers on scientific adventures. Book one took place off the coast of South Africa and was called Great White Shark Adventure. Book two, Journey Under the Arctic, takes place, as you may have guessed, in the Arctic Ocean. Each book follows a different set of junior explorers in a different setting. Fabien Cousteau is the grandson of famed sea explorer Jacques Cousteau and a third-generation ocean explorer and filmmaker. Beetle and the Hollow Bones is a debut now on sale August 4th. A young goblin tries to save her best friend from a haunted mall in this debut graphic novel. We're excited to have a graphic novel for this middle grade audience that has a cast that includes LGBTQ characters. At its core, it's a story of friendship, loyalty, and belief in oneself, with humor and, of course, some truly memorable scenes. And then we have two STEM STEAM titles I'm excited to tell you about. One covers science and one covers math and science. Born Curious explores the histories of 20 curious girls from a variety of backgrounds and educations who are now incredible female scientists, from Rosalind Franklin, molecular biologist, Marie Tharp, geologist and cartographer, Mariam Mirshakani, mathematician, Susan Solomon, chemist and climate scientist, all the way to Tu Youyou, pharmacologist who developed a life-saving treatment for malaria. Grasping Mysteries is now on sale August 4th. This is a novel and verse companion to Finding Wonders, Three Girls Who Changed Science. Grasping Mysteries introduces readers to 7 groundbreaking women in math and science, including the familiar Katherine Johnson, Edna Lee Paciano, citizen of the Napier Nation, who was the first Native American to work full-time for the Census Bureau, and Hertha Marks Ayrton, the first female electrical engineer. And then we have 3 Young Readers editions coming up. All Our Dogs Ourselves is a middle grade adaptation of the adult book of the same name by the New York Times bestselling author of Inside of the Dog, a Young Readers edition. It gives a fresh and often surprising look at humans' complicated and sometimes contradictory relationship with man's best friend. Invisible Thread is a memoir now available in paperback. On a crowded New York City street corner, 11-year-old Maurice met busy sales executive Laura. Maurice asked Laura for spare change, and something made Laura stop and ask Maurice if she could take him to lunch, and that was the beginning of an unlikely friendship that forever changed their lives. This New York Times bestseller adapted for young readers is a story of generosity and taking the time to really see each other. It shows us readers that the smallest gesture of kindness can make the biggest difference. And then we have Impossible First Young Readers Edition. Colin O'Brady vividly recounts his 54-day record-shattering solo crossing of Antarctica, using every ounce of his strength, training, and force of will. There are geography and history of exploration elements in the book, as Colin talks about preparing for the journey and overcoming obstacles. Colin is an inspirational speaker who often speaks to school groups. And then finally, just a sneak peek at a couple of our fall titles from beloved authors. So Tune It Out is a girl with a sensory processing disorder looking to find her own voice. Saucy is a fun one where it's a group of quadruplets and one of them finds a tiny sick piglet on the side of the road. Keeper of the Lost Cities Unlocked by Shannon Messenger is an extra special installment of the series, picks up after a particularly devastating cliffhanger in Book 8. Kenny and the Book of Beasts is the highly anticipated sequel to Tony D. Terlizzi's Kenny and the Dragon. And My Life in the Fish Tank is a new one from Barbara D. about a 12-year-old whose older brother has been diagnosed with a mental illness. And that's some of our websites. You can check out our book pantry with extra resources. And just thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It looks like Julia's having some technical difficulties, so give me 1 second and I will introduce Melissa Croce. Sorry, everyone. Alrighty. Melissa is the Associate Marketing Manager for Macmillan Children's School and Library team. She has been with the company for 4.5 years. Her favorite Macmillan books to read are graphic novels, middle grade nonfiction, and young adult fantasy. Thus far, she's passed time while in quarantine by throwing herself into half a dozen new projects, including starting a tiny letter, book club, and embroidery, watching the new Emma movie 3 times, puzzling, trying to become a yogi, and of course, reading. Take it away, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well and you're staying safe. Before I get started, please take note of any of the slides with this little NetGalley green icon in the bottom left corner. That icon indicates that you can request this title to read on NetGalley, as I am currently unable to send anybody physical copies. All right, so as you can see, first up we have Conquest by Sam Maggs. Twins Kat and Alex are excited to be at the world's most popular comics convention with their family. Their parents are creators of a well-known comic series, and unlike their older athletic sister Fee, Kat and Alex love nerdy stuff, and they're even more excited to compete in the quest, a huge scavenger hunt run by their favorite nerdy celebrity. The big prize is a chance to meet him. The twins ditch Fee and set off to find geeky clues, tackle nerdy challenges, and cross as many items as possible off of their list. But can the twins work together even when they disagree on how to compete? Will Fee find them before their parents realize they're missing? And most importantly, will they win the quest? There was a lot of things that I loved about this book. I thought that the portrayal of Alex's autism was really nuanced and thoughtful. I also really enjoyed the portrayal of fandom in general and how it can be great to make friends and build community, but also touching on the often condescending and misogynistic manifestations of it as well. This book is fun, thoughtful, and as Kirkus said in a starred review, the next best thing to attending a con. Next is The Book of Fatal Errors by Dashka Slater. You might recognize Dashka's name. She is the author of both the picture book Escargot and the young adult nonfiction book The 57 Bust. Dashka is a multifaceted writer and is turning her talents to this new middle grade fantasy. Rufus doesn't just make mistakes, he makes fatal errors. Clumsy and awkward, he's constantly bullied at school, but now it's summer vacation and Rufus is free. He roams the wildlands of his grandfather's mysterious homestead, blissfully unaware of the dangers up ahead. Soon he and his snooty cousin Abigail become entangled in the tantalizing world of the Failings, mischievous fairy-like creatures desperate to find their way home. In helping the Failings, Rufus tumbles down a dark path rich with age-old secrets and difficult truths. Any move he makes might be his final fatal error or his most spectacular beginning. My coworker Sierra proclaimed this as one of her favorite middle grade titles of the season and says that this story, the first in a duology, teaches us that no mistake or error is truly fatal. The Total Eclipse of Nestor Lopez by Adriana Cuevas is next. Nestor Lopez wants is to live in one place for more than a few months and to have dinner with his dad. When he and his mother move to a new town to live with his grandmother after his dad's latest military deployment, Nestor plans to lay low. He definitely doesn't want anyone to find out his deepest secret, that he can talk to animals. But when the animals in his new town start disappearing, Nestor's grandmother becomes the prime suspect after she is spotted in the woods where they were last seen. As Nestor investigates the source of the disappearances, he learns that they are being seized by a Tule Vieja, a witch who can absorb an animal's powers by biting it during a solar eclipse. And the next eclipse is just around the corner. Inspired by Panamanian and Costa Rican myths and infused with Cuban culture, this Own Voices middle grade debut, starring this 12-year-old Dr. Doodle, will appeal to both mystery fans and animal lovers alike. My coworker Kristen named this as one of her favorite middle grade novels of the season and said that, full of magical realism, adventure, humor, and heart, this is a story readers won't be able to put down. Okay. Now for something completely different. Dung for Dinner, a stomach-churning look at the animal poop, pee, vomit, and secretions that people have eaten and often still do, by Christine Vernig with illustrations by Corwin Briggs. Discover the stomach-churning truth about the animal poop, pee, vomit, and secretions that humans have eaten throughout history and sometimes still do in this laugh-out-loud middle-grade nonfiction debut. From Roman charioteers scarfing wild boar dung to astronauts guzzling their own pee, to today's kids spreading insect vomit on their toast, this hilarious compendium is chock full of history, science, and fascinatingly gross facts. Kids will never stop being amused or fascinated by what comes out of our bodies, and this book will answer all of their never-ending questions and then some. All right, moving away from that, we have Quintessence by Jeff Redman. 3 months ago, 12-year-old Alma moved to the town of 4 Points. Her panic attack started a week later, and they haven't stopped, even though she's told her parents that they have. She's homesick, friendless, and every day she feels less and less like herself. But one day she finds a telescope in the town's junk shop, and through its lens, she watches a star that looks like a child, fall from the sky and into her backyard. Alma knows what it's like to be lost and afraid, to long for home, and she knows that it's up to her to save the star. So with a little help from some unlikely new friends, she sets out on a quest that will take a little bit of magic, a little bit of science, and her whole self. Next is The Brave by James Bird. Colin can't help himself. He has a unique condition that finds him counting every letter spoken to him. It's a quirk that makes him a prime target for bullies and a continual frustration with the adults around him. When Colin is asked to leave yet another school, his dad decides to send him to live in Minnesota with a mother he's never met. She is Ojibwe and lives on a reservation in Duluth. When he arrives there with his loyal dog Seven, Colin quickly finds that his mom and his new home to be warm, welcoming, and accepting of his condition. He even finds a new friend in his neighbor Arenda, a girl who lives mostly in her treehouse and believes she's turning into a butterfly. With Arenda's help, Colin works to overcome his challenges, and his real test comes when he must step up for his new friend and trust his new family. Award-winning artist Gilbert Ford turns his talents to middle grade in The Mysterious Messenger. 11-year-old Maria de la Cruz is trapped under the thumb of Madame Destine, her pseudo-psychic mother. Destine is a bona fide con artist who will stop at nothing to swindle her customers into believing she can communicate with the dead. But Maria, unlike her mother, has a big secret. She really can communicate with the dead, most frequently with a ghost named Edward, who has been her only friend since she was a child. It's not long before this clairvoyant young sleuth gets wrapped up in an epic journey that combines bookish mystery with the literary movement of the beat poets and art and jazz history. Maria may have the power to unlock extraordinary secrets, but can she find the treasure Edward sends her clues about? This smart, big-hearted debut novel is perfect for fans of The Book Scavenger, Winter House, and the Vanderbilt of 141st Street. Turning once again to nonfiction, we have history comics, The Great Chicago Fire, Rising from the Ashes by Alex Groddens and Kate Hannigan. This is the start of a new nonfiction series from First Second. And in this volume, writer Kate Hannigan and illustrator Alex Groddens tell the true story of how a city rose up from one of the worst catastrophes in American history and how this disaster forever changed how homes, buildings, and communities are constructed. A deadly blaze engulfs Chicago for 2 terrifying days. The brother, sister, and a helpless puppy must race to the city to stay one step ahead of the devilish inferno, but can they reunite with their lost family before it's too late? So in this new nonfiction graphic novel series from First Second, the past comes alive through an easy-to-follow story. This volume is publishing simultaneously with a volume about the mystery of the Roanoke colony. Continuing on with graphic novels, we have All Together Now by Hope Larson. This is a pitch-perfect graphic novel follow-up to All Summer Long. Middle schooler Bina is having the best time playing in her new band with her friends Darcy and Enzo, but both the band and her friendships begin to crumble when Darcy and Enzo start dating, effectively relegating Bina to third-wheel status. To make matters worse, Bina's longtime best friend Austin starts developing a crush on her. When she's not sure she reciprocates, now Bina must follow her heart. I love this series, and I think it is so smart and fun and heartfelt. I would place this in terms of content and reading level directly between the Real Friends series by Shannon Hale and Lewin Fan, and then the young adult graphic novel, This One Summer by Mariko and Jillian Tamaki. I also want to point out that the on-sale date of this book changed from June 2nd to August 4th. There's some examples. Okay. Up next, we have The Invisible Boy by Alyssa Hollingsworth with art by Lee. Nadia looks for adventures in the pages of her Superman comic book until a mysterious boy saves her dog from drowning during a storm and then disappears. Now she finds herself in the role of Lois Lane hunting down the scoop of that invisible boy. And soon she's thrust into a real-life adventure that's far more dangerous than anything in her comic books. The Invisible Boy is both a mystery and an adventure story, as well as a story about child labor trafficking. Like Catherine Applegate, author of Crenshaw and Wish Tree, Alyssa Hollingsworth takes a difficult subject matter and makes it accessible for middle grade readers. All right, from New York Times bestselling author Faith Erin Hicks comes 1 Year at Ellesmere. Was boarding school supposed to be this hard? When studious 13-year-old Juniper wins a scholarship to the prestigious Ellesmere Academy, she expects to find a scholastic utopia. But living at Ellesmere is far from ideal. She is labeled a quote-unquote special project. Ellesmere's queen bee is out to destroy her, and it's rumored that a mythical beast roams the forest next to the school. With the help of a new friend, Juniper might be able to make it through the year. I thought this read was super fun and quick, and readers will delight in Juniper's snappy wit and unfazed approach to dealing with tiresome school bullies. Lastly, we have The Highland Falcon Thief, Adventures on Trains by M.G. Leonard and Sam Segman. When 11-year-old Hal Beck is forced to accompany his travel writer on the last journey of the Royal Train, the Highland Falcon, he expects a boring trip spent away from video games and children his age. But then Hal spots a girl who should not be on board, and he quickly makes friends with a stowaway named Lenny. Things get even more interesting when the royal prince and princess board the last leg of the journey because the princess's diamond necklace is soon stolen and replaced with a fake. Suspicion falls on the one person who isn't supposed to be there, Lenny. It's up to Hal, his keen observation, and his skill as a budding sketch artist to uncover the real jewel thief, clear his friend's name, and return the diamond necklace before the Highland Falcon makes its last stop. That's it for me. Please check out our website, mackidsschoolandlibrary.com, where we're constantly uploading new resources, activities, and info about digital events just like this one. And be sure to follow us on Twitter as well at MacKidsSL. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Melissa. Our next presenter will be Emily Duvall. Emily is a library marketing manager for Random House School and Library Marketing, where she has worked for over 3 years. Among conference planning and advertising, Emily manages the Random House School and Library social handles, so please follow her on those and don't hesitate to say hello. Her favorite category of work is on middle grade, and she is most excited about graphic novels and exciting series that are coming up from Random House. Thanks for joining us today, Emily.
Thank you. I'm so excited to get the chance to talk about some middle grade titles coming up from Random House. I'll be focusing on books that published in March and ones coming up through May. So these are great reads that have either just become available or are about to be very, very soon. So we're going to kick it off today with Bloom. I know it must seem a little odd to highlight a series about an apocalyptic overthrow of plants with everything going on right now, but Kenneth Opel does such an amazing job here with the start of the Overthrow series that you just get immersed into the story. One day, a rain starts to fall, which plants these seeds, which sprout man-eating plants all over the world. And it's up to a group of kids who are strangely immune to the plants to save the world. Perfect for fans of Stranger Things and stories of nerds taking on scary adventures. There's a cliffhanger at the end of this one that is just plain mean and will leave you wanting more, which is good because this is a fast-pubbing series with one per season. So book 2 is coming this fall. Next up, My Life as a Potato. With everything happening right now, I know we all feel like potatoes, but this hilarious middle grade debut is about a boy who is forced to become the dorkiest school mascot ever, the potato. After accidentally causing the mascot to sprain his ankle, Ben is sentenced to spud duty for the final basketball games of the year. But if the other kids know he's the spud, his plans for popularity are likely to be a big dud. Ben doesn't want to let the team down, so he lies to his friends to keep it a secret. No one will know it's him under the potato suit, right? Ariane Costner does an amazing job of creating a very relatable and realistic middle school environment, and the punny humor here is spudtastic. I recommend this as a read if you are remote learning and looking for a school spirit week read aloud. This will spark school spirit for sure, even though we are all far apart. And next up, I have to confess 2 things about this one. First, the list of things that will not change is probably one of my favorite books we have coming out all year, if not definitely made it to my top 5 of all time. And second, this slide is wrong because just yesterday, Shelf Awareness gave the list of things that will not change its 7th starred review. This is from the middle grade master, Rebecca Stead, and follows B, a girl whose parents are divorced. It tells the story of the year that her dad married his boyfriend, Jesse. It's a book about big feelings and all different kinds of families, and there's something for everyone in this one. One of my favorite things about this book is that B sees a therapist who is depicted in a very realistic and helpful way. And as someone whose parents were divorced and had to see therapists at a young age, I think it's wonderful to have that depicted in a book for kids to see. This is just a perfect book to connect us all in these crazy times, and just a feel better book with great characters. Now for something a little different. This is a new series from the New York Times bestselling author of The Sisters Grimm and Nerds. This is an action-packed series with spot-on middle grade humor. Finn Foley finds a unique pink lunchbox, which opens up wormholes, shortcuts through space, that take Finn to the farthest corners of the galaxy. So awesome. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, out of the lunchbox comes a strange blinking device that attaches itself to Finn's chest, and it turns out to be one of the most dangerous weapons in the universe, and the object of desire to a race of gigantic bugs called the Plague, who can also travel through wormholes. It's up to Finn and his friends to defeat the bugs and save the universe. This is an amazing action-packed adventure with more installments coming, including a book 2 in spring 2021. And now on a little bit more of on a somber note, a little something different. We're changing gears to Turtle Boy, which will surely appeal to fans of wonder, exploring self-image, friendship, and grief, and all through a great middle grade voice full of sass and shyness. Will Levine is in 7th grade, and kids at school bully him because of his funny-looking chin. All he wants to do is explore the marsh behind school and collect turtles to set free in the wild. For his bar mitzvah service project, he gets paired with a boy named RJ at the hospital who is struggling with an incurable disease. Over the course of the book, a friendship blossoms and changes Will's life forever. I recommend reading this one with some tissues and be ready for some heartwarming. This is a great discussion starter. The voice comes through really strongly here. It's a great boy book as well as a book for every reader. Definitely a great follow-up to Wonder if you're reading that all together. And on to a graphic novel. So Stepping Stones is a part of the first list of the Random House graphic imprint, which is a new dedicated graphic novel imprint that we have at Random House Children's Books. Lucy is the acclaimed graphic novelist of 3 memoirs, and this is her first middle grade story. This is perfect for fans of Awkward and Be Prepared. Stepping Stones follows Jen, who didn't want to leave the city when she has to move to a farm with her mom and her mom's new boyfriend. It's a new place with 2 new sisters, Andy and Reese. As if learning new chores on Peapod Farm wasn't hard enough, having to deal with perfect at everything Andy might be the last straw for Jen. Besides cleaning the chicken coop, trying to keep up with customers at the local farmer's market, and missing her old life, Jen has to deal with her own insecurities about this new family and where she fits in. This is a wonderful middle grade story of friendship, self-discovery, and finding confidence in stressful or intimidating situations. Jen might not have wanted to go to Peapod Farm, but I promise between the realistic voices and the thoughtful illustrations, you won't want to leave. This is one of my favorite graphic novels on our list this year. I'm a huge Lucy fan. I've read her for a really long time. And this is just her in a middle grade package. It's perfect, a perfect awkward middle grade story for girls. It's gotten a star review from School Library Journal so far, and we're just so excited about this one. Lastly, we have The Elephant's Girl. This is a magical treat from Celesta Remington. Lexington Willow can't remember what happened before a tornado swept her away when she was a toddler, but all she knows is that it landed her near an enclosure in the Nebraska Zoo, and there was an elephant named Naya who protected her from the storm. With no trace of her birth family, Lex grew up right at the zoo with Naya, her foster father Roger, her best friend Fisher, and the wind whispering in her ear. Finally old enough to help with the elephants, Lex starts to realize she has a connection with Naya and can communicate with her. This sets her off on a magical adventure. This has a little bit of everything: animals, magic, and families that come in all shapes and sizes. When I read this in one sitting and it completely washed over me. The writing is absolutely beautiful, and although it's a little bit different with the relationship between Lex and the elephant Naya, it's entirely believable and just really, really beautiful. That's actually it for me. Thank you so much, and please feel free to follow us on Twitter at RHCB Educators and the Random House Random Schoolhouse on Facebook. If you're looking for free downloadable resources as you continue remote learning or need recommendations for parents to do with kids at home, we have discussion guides, read aloud activities, and so much more for all ages and grades at rhteacherslibrarians.com. So please feel free to visit there. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Emily. Our next presenter will be Maddie Hughes. Maddie Hughes is the School and Library Marketing Coordinator at Disney Publishing, where she has been part of the team since 2018. She is thrilled to be able to read and talk about children's books of all kinds as part of her job. Originally from Denver, Colorado, Maddie now lives in LA, where she loves to hike, bake, and of course, visit her local library. Thanks for joining us today, Maddie.
Hi, so happy to be here and to share some of the new middle grade titles that we have coming out this spring and summer, and then a couple just previews of the fall. But to get started, we're just so excited with the amazing reception that we've been seeing to the Rick Riordan Presents imprint, and just with all the great reviews and the reception that we've had from so many different teachers and librarians and readers. And so I'll just jump into, some of the new titles we have coming out. So this May, we have Sal and Gabby Fix the Universe by Carlos Hernandez, which is the sequel to the Pura Belpré award-winning Sal and Gabby, Fix the Universe, which is the sequel to the Pura Belpré award-winning Sal and Gabby Break the Universe. So in this book, which pretty much starts exactly where the last one left off, Sal must team up with a Gabby from another universe to stop his dad from closing the holes that Sal has created, it's very bad if he closes them, while also working to save a school production of Alice in Wonderland and help his new friend Yasmani find a safe home. So this one is just as zany and fun and heartwarming as the first book, and it's a great conclusion to the series. And then next up, we have Paula Santiago and the River of Tears by Taylor Kim Mejia, which comes out in August. And this is a take on the Mexican legend of La Llorona. So Paula Santiago knows to stay away from the river. Her mother is constantly warning her about La Llorona, the wailing ghost woman who wanders the banks of the Gila at night, looking for young people to drag into its murky depths. Pau, who has always relied on hard science to make sense of the world, hates her mother's superstitions. But when her friend Emma disappears, Pau will have to enter the world of her nightmares to bring her back. So this one is a little bit of a spooky middle grade, but it's another great entry. And this will be the first book in a 2-book series. And then this is just a little snapshot of the other Rick Riordan Presents titles we have coming up. The Shadow Crosser is the 3rd book in the Storm Runner series. Tristan Strong Destroys the World is coming out in October, and that's the sequel to Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. And then a new book, which is a standalone, is City of the Plague God by Sarwat Chadha, which is a take on Mesopotamian mythology and the Epic of Gilgamesh. And then outside of Rick Riordan Presents, we have Brightly Woven, which is a graphic novel adaptation of what was actually Alexandra Bracken's debut YA novel. So you probably know Alex Bracken from the Darkest Minds series. This has been adapted for a slightly younger audience, so it is now middle grade, but also works for young adults who are looking for graphic novels. It's adapted by Lee Dragoon with art by Kit Seaton, and it's really beautiful four-color illustrations. And the story is an epic fantasy about a girl who discovers she has a talent for weaving, maybe even a magical talent, which she must use to help a young wizard stop a war between kingdoms. Next up, we have a couple of the books. which sort of fit into our Disney Reimagined program, where we take familiar Disney properties or stories and bring new stories to readers based on those. And the first is for fans of Rescue Rangers, comes the Mouse Watch. So we're calling this Mouse in Black meets Mission Impossible, and it's an action-packed ride as new recruits Bernadette and Jarvis have to stop the Rogue Animal Thieves Society, or RATS. So this is lots of cute mouse action and also has some familiar characters for those of you who do know the Rescue Rangers. And then Disney Chills is a new paperback chapter book series a la Goosebumps, that explores what happens when the scariest parts of Disney stories sneak into and become a part of contemporary kids' real lives. So these kids are going to find out what happens, what Disney heroes across the ages have already discovered, which is that making a deal with these villains is probably not going to lead to their happily ever after. So these are spooky books that are perfect for young fans looking for a bit of a scare from familiar Disney villains, but with a contemporary twist. Next, we have Delphine and the Silver Needle by debut author Alyssa Moon, which is an original novel inspired by the world of Disney's Cinderella. So returning to a common theme of adorable mice and fearsome rats, Delphine, a dressmaker mouse in Cinderella's castle, must sort of discover her history and a lineage of magical tailors to save her kingdom. And I also just wanted to mention a few titles in our Twisted Tale series. So for those of you who aren't familiar, this series takes familiar stories or Disney versions of stories from Disney movies and imagines what happens if there was a change in the story. Or so, for example, what if Cinderella never tried on the glass slipper? Or what if Wonderland was in peril and Alice was very, very late? So This Is Love just came out last week, and Unbirthday is coming out this fall. But while this is sort of a YA series, it's a great crossover for younger readers who are looking for something a little bit more challenging, but still, of course, with the familiar Disney stories. And then just quickly wanted to mention that Artemis Fowl, as you may have heard, is finally becoming a movie. And actually the slide is a bit old, so they did pull the movie theater release of the movie, and it is going to be showing on Disney Plus now. And I'm not sure when the date is. They haven't announced that yet. But it is so exciting that a new generation of readers is hopefully going to be discovering Artemis Fowl, while also giving an opportunity for fans from the decades to revisit some of their favorite adventures. So these are just a couple tie-ins we have to the movie, which is a paperback tie-in with photos, plus also some guides that extend and immerse readers more fully in the world of Artemis Fowl. And this is just a refresher on some of the other Artemis Fowl titles that are currently available, including the paperbacks of all the original books in the series, which have these awesome new covers, and an all-new graphic novel adaptation, which is available currently, and The Fowl Twins, which is the first book in a new series about Artemis Fowl's younger twin brothers, who are just as ingenious and getting into all kinds of scrapes. And then finally, we have a few exciting new titles coming from our Lucasfilm Press imprint, which is all of our Star Wars titles. So the first is Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Stories of Light and Dark, which is a middle grade anthology that will recount different explosive events from the Clone Wars TV series from the point of view of everyone's favorite characters, with each character written by a different popular author. So the authors included are Lou Anders, Tom Engelberger, Preeti Chhibber, Zoraida Cordova, Sarah Beth Durst, Jason Fry, Yoon Ha Lee, Rebecca Roanhorst, Anne Ursu, and Greg Van Eekhout. And we're excited to have all of these amazing authors writing stories from what is kind of one of the most popular Star Wars stories, which new viewers are discovering as it's available on Disney Plus. And then finally, we have The High Republic, A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland, which is the first middle grade book in a new publishing program from Lucasfilm Press that imagines the world of Star Wars before the events of the Skywalker saga during the High Republic, which is when Jedi were at the height of their power and are constantly working to save the galaxy from evil. But when a galaxy-wide disaster occurs, the Jedi must come together to face their biggest enemy yet. So the whole program actually is a wider storytelling program from Lucas, and it will encompass different age ranges in different formats from several different publishers, but each story is a standalone, so readers can read that and be satisfied with the complete story. But if you are interested in learning more about the whole program that they're setting up, there is a really great YouTube trailer that they created that gives a better idea for those Star Wars fans who are interested and excited. So that's all from me. Here's my contact information, and feel free to reach out to me via email with any questions that you might have. You can also follow us on our socials, and the majority of these titles are currently available or will be available on NetGalley. So feel free to put in requests there. And visit us on our website at disneybooks.com, where we also have lots of resources for teachers and librarians that we hope can be helpful during this time while everyone is doing distance learning. So thank you so much for your time. And
thanks, Maddie. Our final presenter today will be Megan Harley. Megan is a displaced Southerner currently living in Astoria, New York. When she isn't keeping up with the best new young readers books, you'll find her catching up on graphic novels and playing video games. Take it away, Megan.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Megan Harley, and I'm the marketing manager for Algonquin Young Readers. I'm pinch hitting today for Caitlin Rubenstein, our fantastic children's school and library marketer, because she is about to have a baby at literally any moment now. Although the last I heard from her a few hours ago, we still have no baby yet. Please note, though, that Caitlin Rubenstein will still be your primary contact for all of your Workman Publishing Company needs, and her contact information will be listed on the final slide here. But I'm thrilled that she tapped me in to get to talk about this fantastic group of titles. And speaking of pinch hitting, Who Got Game is a brand new nonfiction series from Newbery Honor-winning author Derek Barnes. First up to bat is baseball, America's favorite pastime. This book highlights 45 fascinating baseball records, personalities, and anecdotes rarely mentioned in popular baseball lore. Did you know a 17-year-old girl struck out both Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig? Her name was Jackie Mitchell. How about the fact that the longest pro game ever played was 8 hours and 25 minutes? In SLJ's starred review, they mentioned it was a highly recommended first purchase. Booklist has also given the first in the series a starred review, making it sure to be a home run. How to be a person is #pre-adulting. Get your middle schoolers on the right track to becoming the best college roommate they can be one day. This guide to becoming a responsible and independent kid has plenty of great advice, like how to plunge a toilet, how to write a proper thank you note, how to be a gracious host, and so much more. Paired with cute illustrations and step-by-step instructions, this is a must-have for all parents who just wish that sock would stop landing on the floor and magically make its way to the hamper. This book is especially timely for the many parents who find themselves at home with a tween or a teen all day, every day. This book will help make the most of the time you have with them. You know, when you were in college or you just graduated and you wish someone had taught you all that practical stuff in life and besides, the rest of schoolwork? This is it here in one book. Is the sweet town of Appleton ripe for a scandal? Appleton's fifth grade sleuths are following the money, embracing the punny, and determined to get to the rotten core of their town's juiciest scandal. Don't Check Out This Book is an epistolary novel perfect for readers who love a good joke or a school mystery. The format is also perfect for readers who are fans of graphic novels and illustrated chapter books, while the level is spot on for kids who are aging up from chapter books and looking for a bridge the gap type younger middle grade novel. The Kleises are amazing. They managed to make this book is hilariously funny. Seriously, say all of the character names out loud to yourself. But they also are incredibly smart with a lot to say about how important libraries are. They really managed to distill some great topics and conversation ideas into a perfect younger middle grade novel. Right. Bree is finishing up the spring of 8th grade at Catholic school. She is still navigating growing up and learning who she is, but she knows two things for sure. One, she loves soap operas, and two, she knows that she's gay. But attending Catholic school and coming out to her friends and family in that community is scary. Nicole Melleby tackles religion, friends, first crushes, and coming out again and again in this book that is so full of authentic voice. Kirkus gave In the Role of Bree Hutchins a starred review, saying this funny, tender, and heart-wrenching story will have readers calling for an encore, while PW called it wrenching and genuine in their starred review. If you haven't read Nicole Melleby's debut from last spring, Hurricane Season, I highly recommend that as well. It received 3 stars, the 2019 Skipping Stones Award, and is a 2020 Lambda Literary Award finalist. I am a huge fan of both of Nicole's books, and Bree Hutchins is just this fantastic tone, very voicey book. She is such a character that is so realistic. She sometimes gets it wrong, but she is trying so hard, and she has a great group of friends and family who surround her, and it's very true. Sexuality, if you are queer, it's not just one moment like sometimes pop culture likes to portray it. It is a frequent, constant having to reveal and discover yourself, and it has a lot of great things to say about vulnerability no matter what. The second installment in the middle grade Oddmeyer series from author of Jacoby fame, Will Ritter, is The Unready Queen. Book 1 in the Oddmeyer series ended with the boys, Tin and Cole, safely reunited with their mother and returning back to their village of Ensborough. But of course, nothing can stay quiet for long. Book 2 starts up with Fable, our shape-shifting, adorable friend who has been given permission by her mother, the Queen of the Wild Wood, to visit Tin and Cole in Ensborough, but only if she stays quiet and hides her magic from the townspeople. But the trio discovers that humans are destroying the Wild Wood, and the truce between the human world and the magical world is crumbling down. As things escalate, events begin to bring Fable's mother closer to the fulfillment of a deadly prophecy that could leave Fable a most unready queen. Booklist recently gave this title a starred review, saying, the unique, inspiring characters are full of heart and combined with the enchanting magic surrounding them, have the makings of a fantastical classic. Perfect for fans of titles such as Harry Potter, Gregor the Overlander, and for lovers of fantasy titles. This is, I'm talking to a bunch of librarians, you know how rare it is for a sequel to be just as good as the first book. I think The Unready Queen is actually even a little better. You're settled in the world, and Will Ritter is a master of world building. And so now you have these great characters who are just coming into themselves and flourishing, and it's a fantastic story. It's both, action-packed and funny and incredibly heartfelt. So I'm so excited to see where book 3 takes us because I have no idea. Premeditated Myrtle is the start of a brand new middle grade cozy series written by Elizabeth C. Bunn. This beautiful cover is from an acclaimed illustrator you may remember from another series of unfortunate happenings. Wink, wink, it's Brett Helquist. Myrtle is 12, obsessed with the fledgling field of criminal science, and is determined to discover the mystery behind her neighbor's recent death. I like to imagine Myrtle as a Victorian Harriet the Spy, perfect for readers who are looking for the next Nancy Drew or who just love a good mystery to solve. Kirkus calls Myrtle a saucy, likable heroine who shines in a mystery marked by clever, unexpected twists. And Booklist just the other day gave Premeditated Myrtle a star, saying it celebrates independent women of intellect and that Myrtle's spirited investigation is a joyful thing to behold. The second book in the series, How to Get Away with Myrtle, will publish simultaneously to kick off the series in a big way. So cuddle up and get cracking on the case with Myrtle this fall. I was that kid who read mysteries obsessively. I would steal my mom's mystery books. I loved Hardy Boys. I loved Boxcar Children, and Myrtle hits that sweet spot entirely. I think she's really here to kind of carry on that great kid detective mantle, and these books are so smartly written, and they're so fun. Myrtle just gets into the best trouble that any of your kids who are mystery readers, I know, will love this book as well. And if you love reading cozy mysteries, this also has a lot of those same elements. All right, and that's it from me. Thank you for tuning in. If you need to reach Caitlin with any questions, you can email her at the address listed here. She has 2 newsletters for educators and librarians. Greeting from Workman's Library Land is for all of the news and upcoming publications from Workman and its imprint. And I Love MG covers middle grade from all publishers. Follow along on social media for the latest and greatest updates. And all of our books, I believe, for the most part, should still be available on NetGalley, so feel free to request. And thank you again for coming and listening.
Thank you so much, Megan, and a big thanks to today's wonderful panelists. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the Booklist Reader, where Booklist contributors post daily about all things books and library land. Did you know that Booklist content is freely available until further notice? Start reading with our digital edition, a format that pairs the page-by-page reading experience of print with the convenience of online access at booklist.com. Interested in subscribing? Take advantage of this special webinar offer to get print, online, digital, and archive access to Booklist for only $99. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. And one more big thank you to all our sponsors, Simon & Schuster Children's Publishing, Macmillan Children's Publishing Group, Random House Children's Books, Disney Publishing Worldwide, Algonquin Young Readers, and Workman. This concludes today's webinar.